Fly me back in time so we can play among the stars. Come and see what war was like before the coming of Sigmar. In other words, here they are. In other words, that old world charm.
I'll be as loose as I want to be.
Not too loose. Not footloose.
I am so loose.
Are you as loose as Kevin Bacon was? Or is?
In my feet? Yeah.
Or all over?
Yeah.
Can you be loose other places, Adam?
He's seen some stuff. Not like Kevin Bacon.
Big yikes.
He's a whole nother level.
If true, big yikes.
All right, you miscreants. Welcome to the part 2 of our mental health episode. Of course, you guys heard the possible trigger warnings and stuff like that. We are going to be talking about some pretty deep stuff, and hopefully we and you guys feel safe to discuss such things. Of course, by all means, if it's not an episode for you, if you're not doing well right now, if you're feeling unstable or unhealthy, and you feel like talking about this stuff and discussing this stuff or listening to us talk about it is not what you need right now, feel free to skip this episode. But hopefully there's a lot of positives you can take from what we're discussing. We're going to be, of course, answering your questions in the Patreon, in the Discord, and then we're going to be continuing on with our chat. We were joined by the beautiful Val Heffelfinger for our part 1, but he has had to bow out for part 2. I think he has a kid or a dog or something that's demanding to be fed cheese, and I can't think of a better reason to not be on a podcast.
Nice.
So, my lads, jumping into the show questions. First up is Hobby Horse. Any tips on busting through the I can't be asked when painting, especially, but also while playing, especially the last couple of turns where it's clear you've already lost? Gents?
That's tough, right? Like there's this huge kind of, I don't know, I feel a pressure on me when I know that the game is like gonna be over for me to like want to finish it. But at the same time knowing that it's gonna be not fun. Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's hard.
So breaking that down
to get through, like ultimately the way I look in like the last 2 turns, and I kind of look at it like, okay, well, I already know like the result of this game. Like I know it's going to be a loss for me, but I'm going to try and make it as close as I can, just for practice purposes. So like taking it out of the realm of competitive and then moving it into something where it's okay to take the L is kind of like a good like mental trick to make yourself get through those last couple turns.
So I have some, you know, I put my counseling hat on as a trained counselor. The can't be asked, or the, you know, how to, you know, gain motivation when you know you're losing. I have to, you know, reflect and counter that with questions. Like, so why do you find it not fun to lose? Like, what is it about losing that you find unfun? You're still at a table sharing time with somebody hopefully you have a lot in common with. And, you know, when I'm losing, I start chit-chatting about other things. I'm like, cool, you know, well, what else do you play? Like, do you play any other games? Have you watched a good anime lately? And I'll be like, yeah, cool, we're going through the motions, so I'm not going to pay as much attention to the game at the moment because I guess my outcome is already sufficed, but I'm going to do my best to not tank your enjoyment of the game. So I try and revert it to making sure I don't give a poor game to the person I'm playing because my joy might be diminishing.
Mm-hmm.
It also goes to goal setting. Like, you know, I always try and have a goal or 2 in my head before I play any freaking game. Lately, I played a couple of games with Bretonnia, and my goals have been to just learn how to play Bretonnia. Result does not matter, is irrelevant. How to get good at maneuvering and using these units. Because suffice to say, I've been absolutely mollywopped by Cathay 3 out of 3 games in a row. It has not been close because it is not a good matchup. So those terms, you know, my goals completely change. There's no thought of winning or losing. The goal is to have a satisfying experience and feel like I've walked away with better knowledge of my army. And on those terms, it's totally fine to be getting your ass kicked. So I think goal setting is a very important thing to come to, especially a tournament. Like if you're playing in like a GT, a 2-dayer, if you go and take a bunch of fat L's, like how do you butter up in a 10-day 2, for example? So always having a goal setting phase in mind when you're going to an event. But Peter, do you have anything to add on this one?
I think you guys nailed kind of like where I'm at, and it's just like a scenario to scenario situation. At least when it comes to playing, you know, if I'm not really having the best time, but I'm really trying to have a good time for my opponent, and I know I've lost, but I'm down on myself because that'll happen because I, went in with a certain goal or a certain mindset. Like a big thing for me is to take that step back. So like turn 3 or 4 or whenever I've realized that like the outcome is getting pretty clear unless something changes. There's a couple things I do. One of them is like, I give myself a minute. I just back off and I say like, hey, what's going on right now? What are your goals now? What's going on with your opponent? And I like have a kind of like a talk with myself because, I've been doing this for so long. You become cognizant of all this stuff. And then it's about then projecting that, like you said. So, hey man, I'm pretty sure I've lost here. I don't want to take anything away from you. And, you change things around, but you also, you got to give those caveats to yourself to be like, so that you don't feel bad when something turns around. Cause like, we've all had that happen, especially with like Old World, where one leadership test can totally change the outcome of the game.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You don't want to get that down on yourself or that like open with your opponent. Adam, like, remember when we casted LVO a few years back in the semifinals, Richard Siegler telling his opponent that, if it wasn't for the fact that the cameras are on, I'd shake hands with you. And then he wins the game by the end.
He wins the game. Yeah, correct.
And then wins the whole event, like right after, like, cause like that shit'll happen. Dice will just swing your way. And then all of a sudden, like a perceived outcome. So you can't give in that way. But then, yeah, it's about setting goals. So like, okay, well now my goal is not winning, but making the most out of the tools I currently have, so that if I'm ever down later, I can maybe change things up. I can maybe pull a win out of a different game. Things like that. And then when it comes, I think he was also talking about like painting fatigue, hobby fatigue, or can't be arsed with, like that's a whole other ball game.
Right.
Especially with someone like me, like someone who suffers from, ADHD and also like chronic depression. It's pretty easy for me to like sit down, look at a bunch of models and just stop. And then like, I have no interest whatsoever. And for me, what I need to do when it comes to a hobby, especially if I need to, it's the same kind of idea where I have to set a goal for myself. Like I have to say, okay, there's a thing that I want and need to have accomplished by a certain time or date. So I set a goal. And then I need to I put myself in a mood to do that thing. So like I'll put on an audiobook. When I used to do stats, for example, if I had like something that I was like something automated that I was running, I'd run that in the background. I'd throw on an audiobook from like a 40K book that I really liked, or a podcast I was super into. Turn that on, something that I can half listen to, and then I just get into a vibe. And you got to find that for yourself.
So it's funny. It's funny because I've had, innumerable counselor, psychiatrist, psychologist, and the term that I was taught was setting the stage.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. If you want to put yourself into a mood to do something, you set the stage first. And I love that you pretty much described exactly that. And
then once you get that, you can get into a group and then you can pound out a couple hours or whatever you need to do. Right. Theoretically. Or, if you have really bad ADHD, like I do, the other way to do it is you just put it off until the very last minute and then you hammer it out. And because then you hit like that peak mode that all ADHDers get into of like the dopamine rush is there. Everything is in alignment and I'm going to be better than anyone has ever been for the next hour and a half because the clocks start in an hour and 45 minutes.
So one tool I found also, and this is like actually runs a very thick vein through my entire psyche and everything, is I time a lot of things. So back when I was having a lot of cravings for substances, I would time for how long I had a craving for, and then therefore when I know that I'm having one, I know how long of the next part of my life I need to get through before I'm okay again. And I've used that and translated that into painting. So when I have or something I need to get done to paint, I will set myself up, set the stage, and I'll paint until I lose interest. And then I'll see how long that was. And then for the next week, that's how long I try and do that thing per day, because that's how long I know my attention span is likely to be. And funnily enough, that has helped me get so many freaking armies painted, because instead of sitting down and trying to just paint a whole squad, I'll sit down and I'll just paint for exactly however long my attention span is. And that's the goal I set myself, is to do that thing every day for as long as my attention span holds. And, you know, that is literally dropping the brush when I'm done. I don't care if I've freaking got one eyeball out of 2 done. Fuck it. Brush is down. And that's been really good for me.
That's really smart. I really like that, Adam.
I do.
I'm more subscribed to the Peter method, the second Peter method of waiting until the very last moment, and then using that to fuel my procrastination into some kind of superhuman ability to paint things very quickly.
Hyperfocus. Yeah. Hey, I've seen your armies. They're not that bad.
Yeah, I've shared enough hotel rooms with Danny now, pre-events to like vouch for this. So
yeah. All right. Next question, Roger. How do you deal with burnout, whether it be games, hobbying, tournament organization, or community building? So burnout is a different kettle of fish. That is like the totally hungover. Like you've just woken up from a massive bender and someone's offering you another drink, and you're just like, no, bring pain. Deceased. What do you guys reckon? How would you, firstly, we've probably maybe already done this on part 1, but how would you guys define burnout? What experiences have you had with burnout, and how have you overcome it?
For me, burnout is a total lack of motivation. And it can apply to any one of these categories individually or collectively.
Yeah. Part of my like journey has been discovering like that my ADHD, particularly the like my dopamine highs and lows, there's like levels of burnout. And like the one thing I think that attributes to anything you're going to do when it comes to this, and I probably said it in part 1 as well, is like you got to meet yourself where you are. I think I've had every therapist I've ever had say that to me at some point or another. Like, it's okay just to meet yourself where you are. To that, taking it in, understanding why you are where you are, and then saying it's okay. So, like, after any major event that I've either run or that I've participated in like any degree that I thought was of import, I burn out. And regardless of how well it did, regardless of anything else, like I reach, it's like there's like a deadness in me, and I just need to be away, and I need to like recharge my batteries. Then there's like the ultimate burnout, which can happen, which can take days or weeks or months to get over. And when you're in that stage, this kind of like dead to the world survival mode burnout, it's really okay just to survive. It's really okay to just lay in bed that extra hour if you need to, or 2 or 3. Make sure that you're fed, your kids are fed, if you have kids of your own, your pets are fed, and just like it's okay to do the bare minimum. There was a time when I had like a specialist come to my home, a therapist, and we were kind of going over, because something I don't think I've mentioned very much is like I have 2 children on the spectrum. They're high functioning, but it does lead to different parenting styles that are required. And so I had a specialist come so that I could kind of go over, my struggles as a parent and things that I could do to, help in that regard. And the first thing they do is they give you this sheet that's like this rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how you feel you are accomplishing these like 20 things that are required to take care of a household. And they're like, here's examples for each one of like on a scale of 1 to 10, and anything below an 8 to me was like, I don't understand how someone could say that they like, you know what I mean?
Abject failure.
Right? Like to me, I would be like, I have failed to accomplish anything. And when I said that to her, she's like, then you're okay. Like if you're if you think that a 7 here is like something you just would not allow yourself to get to, you're fine. And that helped a lot for me, so that even when I'm in my burnout modes, I know that, hey, at least I'm giving an 8 today. I'm giving like my 8, or yeah. So I think that's an overarching way of
So burnout to me is not just like I am interested and now I don't want anything to do with it. Burnout to me is a downward trajectory over time. And if you get to that destitute, like do not want anything to do with it stage, the brutalist in me and the CBT therapist in me states like, where do you think you went wrong self-awareness wise, that you didn't recognize this was happening before it was too late, before there was like the theoretical position of no going back. And when it relates into the hobby, this isn't a dire life or death situation. Cool, I lost interest in my hobby. That's fine. I can get another hobby. But this does have ramifications for relationships, jobs, etc., things that I really have real life implications. And so burnout is a downward trajectory. Some people call it like rock bottom. And rock bottom, to my understanding, is literally when you decide to stop digging. The journey continues until you become self-aware enough to know you need to stop digging. And burnout has a similar extrapolation. So when you are burning out, before you've burnt out, you need to realize it and do some things. And that can manifest in the hobby, absolutely. Are you churning to try and get like that 2,200 point list done for the event 2 weeks away? Well, is that event more important to you than maintaining interest in your hobby? Is that event just so important that if you miss it, it will be the end of your life? Sometimes it's better to, just slap the paint on and go, rather than killing yourself to get, the paint score rubric perfect and then completely lose interest in the game thereafter because you've burnt yourself out. And it could be as simple as things like that, like bang, 3 colors in a wash is going to do just fine. And I'm still going to want to play, on Monday after the event, rather than killing myself to paint, freaking every hour that I have free in a day. And then I don't want to touch this thing afterwards. That's definitely something I've experienced. And hopefully that resonates.
Sure.
Oh yeah. And look, there are other things with burnout that can occur, and maybe not attributing it just merely to burnout, but like do some self-evaluation. I know that's happened to me pretty recently, where I feel like my burnout has been exacerbated by depression. And because like a common symptom of depression, of course, is losing interest in the things that you really love. And so if you find yourself like, man, 40K just isn't hitting for me, like miniature games just aren't hitting for me like as much as they used to, like it's okay to take a minute and a break, like, and come back later when it is exciting, but like be intentional about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, be intentional is a great saying as well. Like, don't just be flippant and go with the flow all the time. This hobby costs too much of our time as it is, and money and all those things. So when you are, doing stuff related to your hobby, like be direct, be intentional. Like, I intend to get this painted. I intend to do something of benefit to myself. I think that's really good.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, and all of this is like, Danny, that was beautiful. Adam, you too. I think like this hobby that we have, I think one of the most amazing things about Warhammer, Old World, 40K, whatever, miniature gaming in general, is there's so many facets to it that it's okay to just be like, I don't want to fucking play right now. I don't want to fucking play for like 3 months. But, dude, I still love the lore, or I still want to hang out with my buddies. It's okay not to like talk about the competitive side of something, or it's okay not to put paint on a model for a while. And instead just focus on those other things, right? Like, I was really burnt out on the game, on all of it, not long ago, this last summer. I was I was burned out in life in general, but like because of that, like Danny mentioned, like because of that, I lost interest in the game. I was like doing the bare minimum because I still work for Goonhammer, or own Goonhammer, so I'm still getting like books and shit, and I'm trying to, but I just don't have any interest. Going through the motions, and then I ran Falcon, which I do every year. It's my convention, and even in the lead up to that, like I had nothing. I was just like, I'm doing this because I made a promise to do it, and I don't want to, but here I am. I keep my promises. In that moment, though, like as I walk into that arena and I start setting up tables and guys start coming in from like Ontario and Nova Scotia and all these other provinces, and they're so excited and they start chatting me up, and you start watching like the sportsmanship kick in and like people yelling and shaking hands. And that just like brought me so much energy that like it got me back into it. Right. And like I haven't at that point, I hadn't put paint on a model in probably 3 or 4 months. And it still took me a couple months before I did anything else. Like basically when my Cathay stuff came in was when I started again. But yeah, it was just like, I just realized I just need to focus on on something else in the hobby, right? I don't need to focus on my hobby. I don't need to focus on like playing games or being my best.
Yeah.
I want to focus on the people, or I want to focus on something else, right? So
I will say, and this is probably a little bit tangential, but I have noticed in the modern era of the games that I play, and especially now the old world, that it's come back from where it was when I left it, 10 years ago. The expectation for players to know everything, understand everything, know every rule, know how to paint like a freaking superstar, golden demon bullshit, know the law, know the fluff. There's so much pressure, I feel like, on players at the moment, more than anything else. Someone rocks up playing Empire, name 3 elect accounts, the freaking Nirvana shirt bullshit, that kind of stuff. There's so much pressure on people. Like, that's not from an actual province of the Empire, your color scheme. Where's that? What's the law behind that? And you're like, I liked this blue on the shelf. That's freaking fine. That is a fine answer to that question. You liked the blue. Fuck them. It's your hobby, it's your money, it's your time, it's your love, it's your passion, all those things. Whatever you make of it is yours, and don't let anyone tell you have to meet their expectations. Set your own. Because man, it's my curse as well that I always like, I can't gear down very easily as a competitive player. If I play an army, I try and play it to the absolute best of my ability all the time, and then sometimes I'll realize I'm playing an opponent who isn't, and who that's not their goal. And they probably enjoy playing with their just collection of cool models they enjoy, that they like, more than I do constantly having my freaking axe to grind, making everything optimum. I get a lot of joy out of that, but that person's joy is also as valid and at times probably more rewarding than my freaking nonsense. So there is no like correct way to do this. It's just whatever brings you joy and is satisfying. All right. Hobby Horse, are you guys ever worried your fixation might disappear and you're suddenly sick to death of Games Workshop and Warhammer? Well, my ADHD will not allow my fixation to completely disperse. It wanes at times, but never fully leaves me. I am a hyper-focused juggernaut of absolute, fixation. But gents, do you ever worry this will happen to you? I mean, Peter, you've already described the moment when it happened to you. But Danny, any extrapolation for yourself?
I mean, yeah, it has happened to me. Like, many times, and I'll get obsessed with something else for a while, and then I'll find I almost always, I have always found my way back to Warhammer is my favorite thing to do.
And what is it that pulls you back to Warhammer?
It's all of it together, right? Like, especially when you're putting a fully painted army on the table for the first time, like that feeling of like, and playing against someone else's fully painted army. It's just like, there's literally nothing better than the feeling of 2 cool looking armies fighting on a cool table. And like, also like when you're playing a very close strategic game, like that feeling is also incredible. So when you combine those things together, you get kind of a perfect storm of that, like meets my aptitude for competitiveness. Like, I want to be competitive. I want to be someone who is like, oh yeah, that guy's really good. And then also feeds my creativity, which is something that I really value highly, and something that I like to practice in a bunch of various different forms. So yeah, Warhammer is like the perfect storm of interactivity for me and my hyperfixation to allow me to come back to it every time.
Beautiful. Just set your giblets a quiver. Delightful stuff. And Annihilator. I think it's natural for interest to wax and wane. I've definitely experienced it, but whether the energy is low, it can help allow the break. It can help to slow. Either the interest will return or something else in life will grab you. At that point, you won't even mind. But maybe you'll get the mojo back and it'll be fine either way. Alternatively, focus on the part of your hobby that is currently of most interest. And that, I think, leans to what Peter said. Because this is such a multifaceted hobby with painting, building, law, play, events, community, it really, if you're interested in one part, a part is fading, you have things to pivot into in order to be activated in other ways. I've got mates who, like, I played 7th edition fantasy with and 8th edition fantasy, and then we played a bit of 40k, and then they went over to the Horus Heresy, and they don't play 40k at all, but they will rock up and have lunch with me at a 40k event if I'm in town near them, and they'll walk around and check out all the tables and talk to a bunch of people they know, and that's them still interacting with their community in a very valid way because they're still part of that community despite not playing the game. And that just shows another pivot. Even if you don't like actively play the game that some of your mates are playing, you still go fucking hang out with them. It's fine. Walther, over mental health. Dot point first. People love painting their army, but then you are forced to do WYSIWYG. How do you deal with the ever-changing meta mentality? This is a great one because I know a lot of people who are coming back to the game with old armies that they've been sitting on for a decade or played some 9th Age with, and they're just like they're just the wrong arm. They stuck the wrong arm on the model 10 years ago. Fucking idiots, right? Fucking
What a morons.
I know. How do you guys deal with the ever-changing meta stuff?
By having a good job most of the time.
By being able to afford to just buy more models, that helps a lot.
No. So the actual answer is just talk to TOs, talk to people in your community. I have if you have a rank and file dude and it's supposed to be a hand weapon shield and they've got a spear in a shield, I could not give less of a shit. As long as it's clearly denoted on your list or you tell me about it at the start of the game, I couldn't give a crap, man. The best thing you can do, I know of people who have, full high elf lists and they're like, man, I really wish I had bows on these guys instead of blah, 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 blah. And so I tell them, just make the front rank whatever the unit is my key. If you can't, and I'm not going to tell you to go out and buy 40 more skeletons because God, building those dudes is horrific. 40 more skeletons to have the right loadouts and shit. If the front 5 or 6 or 7 or however wide you intend to use the model is the correct WYSIWYG one, that's more than good enough for me and for the majority of TOs that I know of. So that's the easy one. Yeah,
I mean, all three of us have, participated in the world's biggest events for 40K and fantasy to a degree. And honestly, in most of those, if you walk in and you go to a TO and you're like, hey, my list says these dudes have halberds, but I've got them with spears. What should I do? They're gonna be like, why the fuck are you talking to me?
Yeah.
This is a tournament to run.
Straight.
Yeah, I have a tournament to run. No one gives a shit.
No one gives a shit. Correct. And seriously, 40K is every 3 months. You could be snapping an arm off, theoretically. Yeah. And so it's just created a far more permissive system, which I think is better for everybody.
So I guess what we're trying to say is if you're being forced into WYSIWYG, tell the person to stop that. Don't be like that. Don't be mean to me. Yeah. But otherwise, you can do bare minimum stuff. You can just, like Adam said, do a front rank that is a particular weapon. And then the rest is just filler because that's all you really needed. The only exception would be if you're doing Motley Crue stuff, in which case, you've invested in that decision. So just put the extra work in, right? Yeah. Otherwise, there's really no need to get overly concerned with it, especially if you're not playing at the utmost level. And like we just said, the utmost competitive level generally doesn't care. So if you're playing with friends and they're really concerned about WYSIWYG, just ask everybody to take a step back and relax and enjoy the game rather than be so specific about something, I guess would be what I would say there.
Yep. And on the other extent, if you do have somebody who, themselves has mental health struggles and WYSIWYG is generally something that, really assists with their enjoyment of the game or immersion or whatnot, what does it cost you? What does it cost you? If you guys have spears, just play them as spears against that opponent. If that brings them more joy, and maybe you sacrifice 5% of optimum play or whatever, or some little combo to just make sure you have a much more enjoyable game for somebody who may be struggling themselves with different stuff. They may be fighting battles you know nothing of. All right. like every hobby, obsession is a real problem. Any tips?
God, I wish I would.
Oh,
I
boy.
would have so much more money in my bank account.
You think I would be here if I had any tips? This shit runs my life. No.
Why do you think I'm doing a podcast, man? Like,
I do 6 of these things. No,
it's the only way for me to stay relevant. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, the session thing is hard, right? Like, I would say the people that I feel like have found the most success with that I've seen, they find one faction that they just really like, and that's what they play.
Yep.
And I think that's a good way to make sure that you're not getting too crazy with the purchases.
Yes, because is that what you think that they're alluding to with obsession? Like, just literally, like, this is as problematic to my bank balance as a gambling addiction.
I just assume, yeah, like, or like the amount of time. If there's if that's a component, if the time is the component that you're worried about, the obsession being, like, maybe, you know, just schedule, like Adam time stuff. I think that's a really good method for making sure that you're staying on track. But like, maybe just time yourself as a limit to the amount of time instead of like the maximum amount of time that you're spending on stuff. Maybe like say, okay, this is the hour that I'm going to designate to painting every day. Like, this is my hour that I do this. I don't paint anymore during that time, or I don't read any more Warhammer. I don't open the apps unless it's this particular hour. Like, those are kinds of some ways that you can manage your time a little bit better, I feel like.
And honestly, if you're like me and you deal with ADHD, scheduling, structuring, like it helps you with so much stuff. Like having a proper schedule and structure, and it will drain away some of that hyperfixation, some of that obsession, because you redirect it into like time management. You basically make an obsession out of time management, and it does make a huge difference, especially in like the short term. Like what Danny said is a perfect example of just like, so like when I started the hobby, like part of the reason why I started Warhammer a million years ago, before I even knew that I had ADHD, was because I had other obsessions and I was about to have a kid, and I was like, I need to do something that's going to take less of my time. Wow, was that a mistake? But when I did start, like, I did set times. I was like, I hear that there's a Tuesday night Warhammer night with my buddies. I'm going to go there. I'm going to show up at 7:00. No matter what happens, I'm done at 11 p.m. So I have like a night to myself every week. That's just for me. And then like once a month, I'll go to a tournament if there is one, max. And that was kind of like the extent of my hobby at the time. Was, Tuesday night, I'm going to paint a few models and I'm going to play a game. Saturday, if there's one Saturday a month, if there's like an RTT, I'm going to go to it. If there's not, then that Saturday when the kids are in bed, that's when I'm going to get my hobby in or something, right? Or I'm going to hang out with friends and talk about the game. And that has since evolved. But yeah, like there is something to just timing out your life, especially when it comes to things like this.
So I echo a lot of what Peter just said. I have to treat myself in my life with a huge amount of rigidity, where I pretty much have so much of my life just scheduled out ahead of time. And this is the time I have for this. This is the time I have for this. In my younger years, I would have seen that as being hugely punitive and like confining and stuff. I find it extremely liberating to know, like, this is the time where I get to be buck wild and let myself go nuts about this. This is the time where I get to do that about this. Then I have to cook dinner. Then I have to do this. Then I get to go crazy about this. And it's quite nice. It's quite nice to have everything like plotted out. But that is not in my opinion, not a one size fits all. That's the thing. Like if you have similar issues to Peter and I, we can help you get a lot of progress on a lot of different facets of your life. All right, so many opinions, also negative. How do you create positive vibes as a community? This is a good one because, oh boy, do we love being negative. The salt mines, we yearn for them.
Yes.
It's really hard sometimes to be positive, especially when like the vast majority of 40K, and I would say wargaming content, like Games Workshop content, is so negative. I think it's important to just look at all the nice things that you're getting instead of focusing on the things that you're losing, and also recognizing that this game is fluid, and so nothing really stays. And this is particularly true of 40K, but it's honestly, it's probably pretty true of Old World, which has gotten more FAQs and more like love done in that respect than like almost like after Age of Sigmar and 40K. There's no other Games Workshop game that's gotten the same kind of love that this game has had, right? Like
in the first 12 months of Old World, it had more hotfixes, FAQs, and erratas than I think every edition of Fantasy combined.
Oh yeah, absolutely, not even a question.
Yeah.
So we get that now. That's really great. That's something really great that we have, even though we don't have all the armies yet. I think that concentrated on like the love that we do get, and we're still getting new rules. Like there's new rules that are coming out for Tomb Kings at some point in the future. At least. Well, hey, but Tomb Kings are getting new rules, so that's cool. I like that. See what I just did? Yeah,
I see what you just did, and I think it's kind of like it's something we've talked about in the past with other games and also with Old World, but like. Yeah, there sometimes it's just about being able to say like, yes, there are things that are incorrect and we are allowed to express our opinions on them. But when you feel like you're getting too negative, whether it's about like hot air balloons or whatever, it is okay to take a step back and say, but also, like Danny said, here's all this amazing stuff that we've got. And it's so much better. And it's not just Stockholm Syndrome kicking in, right? Like it's like there's like this is legitimately
not, right.
This is like legitimately we're in a good spot because they are paying attention. And I think if they released updates and things even faster than they are, there'd be a different wave of complaining, right? That things are moving too fast. So yeah, like we can bring our own positivity into things just by who we are and existing, right? And just having like taking that time to ourselves before we move into those conversations to choose that attitude and spread that into other people. So
yeah. So I would like to say I have a very do no harm approach to interacting with just every human in the world, and sometimes people need to be negative. Sometimes that is the thing, and that is their right. Everyone's got the right to express their feelings about a thing, especially something that you put so much love, money, and time into, like our hobby. And so people have the right to their opinions. People have the right to be negative if they wish, positive if they wish. The best thing you can do is choose what to do with your energy and just be a beacon of fucking positivity. Like be disgustingly positive, sicken them with it if need be. But it will catch fire. It will usually influence others, and people will agree or disagree as they may. But the best if the negativity of the community is like getting to you, disengage with it for a time. I've done that many times. Do you know how many negative comments I've gotten on like YouTubes and Discords and posts and stuff over the years? Freaking intolerable amounts. And I just do not read them anymore. I do not read the comments. I don't read people's opinions of the things that I say. I've found that positive or negative, neither of them benefit me, and I just keep doing what I'm doing. Because you can just assume I've been doing this for 8 years. I've been putting my voice out on the internets, and my God, have the hounds come baying for blood many a time. I've never tried to be cancelled because I've said something, too on the nose or anything like that. But mostly people just come for my opinion and say, "Oh, you're so wrong. What a criminal opinion." Criminal, you say? Oh, geez. I can't wait to see you in court for my criminal opinion. The thing is, I'm entitled to my opinion just as they are entitled to theirs. So while I also don't read their comments, I don't post on them and tell them they're wrong either, because they're entitled to that opinion just as much as I'm entitled to mine. I just happen to have a microphone in front of me. So yeah, that is what it is. But yeah, the best way is to just be as positive as you feel like you can be in that space, in that realm, and leave it up to them with how they do with it, because we don't have the right to change each other. All right, Mitchie P, my favorite baby boy. Happy birthday to Mitchie as well. He just recently had his birthday. There's
so many of us. Danny recently had his birthday. Yeah. I had my birthday.
Mine was a month ago. Yeah.
Addie C was a month ago.
We can draw too many parallels about what our parents were doing this time of the year, and it's absolutely revolting. All right, Mitch, how do you get over that?
How did you get over by the hotel in Hawaii and made sure to let me know that's exactly where I was conceived, so I know.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Did they walk you? Like, did they show you the bed? Or those
No,
Right
just
here,
send it to
Danny,
the
right
room, though,
here.
if you're driving by. See the window up there in the corner? That's the room you were conceived in, Danny. Thank you.
My dad did the same thing to me once. He was like, "See that shack over there?" I was
Were
like,
you
"Oh no."
Were you sitting in a car like behind them, Danny? Like was your dad in front of you in the car?
Yeah.
I would have thrown up directly into the back of his head. You see that, Dad?
This is what happens.
This is what happens, Dad. So Mitch asks, how do you get over the hump of getting back into a game you have been away from for a year plus due to a life happening? So I guess this is disconnection. This gentleman, lovely Mitch, has been somewhat disconnected from the game for the past 12 months due to life events. How do you get stuck back in, lads?
Baby steps. That'd be my advice.
It's not what it is, man. Go to the people you love that play this game.
Yep.
And play it with them. I went through it like 4 years ago. I went through I had like a real bad year and I did not have time for this hobby. And once you've got yourself that you want to try to get back into it, dude, you just do it, but take your time. You don't need to like be the best at it. Like, I know that you were, Mitch in particular, was like a top tier player in 40K for a long time. Mm-hmm. And it's okay if you come back and you're not the best. You don't make the best lists anymore, or you haven't quite caught on to things. Like
me.
Do what you love. Just roll into it, have a time, and then it'll click. It always does. So.
I love those tips. What would be a baby step example? What's an example of a baby step?
Just scheduling the time. Like say, okay, I'm going to go watch people play like first. I just want to see if it's kind of in the same place. So where are people playing? I'm going to go there and just see what it's like. See if I like the crowd, see if it's going to be a good fit. And then making yourself do it. Like, okay, well, I'm going to try and either set up a game with someone, or I'm going to go for like a learner's night or something like that, just something easy. Or like, I think was it Pete that you said this? Like, find the people that you love that play this game.
Yeah.
Like find those great people and ask them, hey, will you help me get back into it? And like, they're going to do it.
They probably love you too. They probably do.
We're going to get a game in soon, Mitch. Yeah. Hit you up.
He's playing Cathay.
Yes, it doesn't matter.
He's 100% playing Cathay.
It's not about that.
Adam, after our game with Cathay, I think it is about that.
It might be a little bit about that, yeah.
I've had two more since then. Thank you very much, Peter. And they've all been just as terrible. And guess what? It doesn't matter. I'd be up for some more.
All of them ended without you taking your first turn?
No. I went first in one of those games. No, I was playing. Yeah, it's Bretonian versus Cathay. It's not a good time. Do not recommend. First game I played, I went first. Shot my cannons at his cannons. My first cannon shot misfired and killed itself. My sec cannon hit and didn't wound. And then in his turn one, I had a unit of 4 and a unit of 3 pegs, each with a uber character joined to them. I lost all 3 of the pegs and took 2 wounds on one character, and then was down to 1 peg left on the other unit of pegs, and lost both my cannons and could not charge anything because I was tremor shelled by the shit. Then turn 1, I had nothing I could charge, and I was down. I was about to be down like 1,500 points, and I was like, "Yeah, we're good, buddy, we're good." The second game, I completely restructured my list to actually have a game into Cathay. Like I added the Green Knight, combined my peg knights into one big block, scraped some points here and there, and we had a game. Like turn. I think it started turn 4. His turn 4, he went first. On his turn 4, I was kind of out of gas, but I had 3 competitive turns. I got freaking my heroic killing blow character into Meow twice, and proceeded to have 8 chances to roll a 6 because of the laurels that give you the rerolls after hitting, and didn't roll a single 6. So clearly a skill issue that I will reflect upon. And yeah, good. That was good. Like, so I didn't have a 6 turn experience, but man, I got a lot closer. So I'm going to work on that.
One turn at a time, man. Eventually, 3 more games, you'll be playing.
I can get tabled on turn 6.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, sterling stuff. All right. Ben has asked a couple of questions that we've most likely answered in part one, but how is wargaming helped your mental health? That's pretty much going to be one of the core facets of part one. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. And what can the wargaming community do better in regards to taking others' mental health into account? That is a fantastic question. So how do we want to handle this one, gents?
Give people grace.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah.
You don't know what anybody else is going through, and so just being a good person and not being rude, being like helpful, and like remembering that this is a game that takes two people to play, and just trying to make the game as much fun for both people as you can.
Yep. I had so this is not a good idea, but I had a suggestion put to me freaking years ago that people should, you go to some like dating parties and stuff, and they'll put a wristband on you, denoting whether you're DTF or single or taken or whatever. Someone suggested that we rules lawyers have a wristband that says I'm on the spectrum. I'm not an asshole. Please, I'm not. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. I'm not a douchebag. I'm just on the spectrum, and this is how my brain works. And I would like you to acknowledge that, not treat me like a dickhead, because that's a thing. That's a thing. I've treated people badly when it turns out, they've rubbed me the wrong way in an interaction, and it hasn't been because they're a bad person. It's just how their brain works, and their brain works a little differently. And we got, like we said, we got to give each other grace.
I don't know if I told this on the podcast, but that happened I watched it happen at Falcon this last year. And to me, it was like one of the more beautiful moments of the event. There was a fellow playing, I won't say his name, but, very clearly, probably on the spectrum, very direct when he speaks to people. And I was watching him play a game, kind of like mid-tables against a brand new player. And, being very direct with him, but it's just like the other guy was taking it well enough. But at one point, the guy, I was probably turn 3 or 4. This fellow stops. He's like, "Hey, I need to let you know. I want to thank you so much for how you're treating me, because I know I'm being extremely direct, and it is just how my brain works. And I'm really sorry for that. There are just certain things that have to be a certain way. And I apologize for how I am." And the guy was like, you should never apologize for who you are. Yeah. And just like that moment, the two of them together, by the way, this guy that was making the apology was being so kind. It was just like, he talks very direct, very loud, but giving takebacks and explaining rules of the game that the other, very complex rules of the game that the other guy just had never experienced before. It was just such a beautiful moment. And it's okay to do that if you feel comfortable with it, to just be like, hey, this is how I am. It's kind of like that social contract we set out at the beginning. A lot of us set out at the beginning of a game this is how I play Warhammer. Where we try to meet in the middle. So I don't like takebacks, but I will, if you love them, go ahead. I just understand that I'm going to be harder on myself, and it's nothing against you or whatever. To be able to say, hey, my brain is wired a little different. I've told people, if I can get pretty excitable. I might get a little loud if that's not your cup of tea. I'm really sorry. Or I might start babbling about probability at some point during our game. Don't worry about it. And I'm really sorry if I come off as glum. It's just math sometimes fucks me over. So it's really okay to have that conversation, and it can lead to some beautiful things.
Yeah, there was a time in my life where dice used to tilt the shit out of me, very, very used to tilt the shit out of me, because I would constantly be thinking I was making the right choices, the right decisions, as in I'm gonna use this to shoot this, I'm gonna move this to charge this, I'm gonna put this in position, And then anytime the dice would say you're a silly boy for trying to make plans, I would just tilt out of my mind. I would uncontrollably, and it was very mental health based. It was very emotional regulation based. And it was very much the fact that I was playing the game as my only real outlet in life. And the game and the outcome of the game was, I had a lot riding on it. And yeah, I definitely started, when I became self-aware of how unhealthy that was, started giving people a little disclaimer at the start, being like, just know if I start raging, yelling at dice, I'm not yelling at you. It's not your fault. You don't control the dice. You don't make me do things or not do things. I make decisions on this table, and I take ownership of my actions when we play a game. So just know if I get a little antsy because the dice aren't going my way, it's no attack upon you, and there's no reflection of you or how you're playing your behaviors, unless it is. No, it's fine. But you get what I'm saying. Like, it's totally fine to have those conversations at the start of the game as well. I'm of the opinion that if I'm playing War Dollies with somebody at an event that costs you money to attend, and your army is like painted of 2,000 points of newish models or oldish models, doesn't even matter. If there's models there on the table, I assume you're spicy between the ears. I start at you are a spicy boy, girl, he, they, them. Doesn't matter. I start at you are spicy. And that's where I choose to stay, because I'm of the opinion if we just assume everybody's got a little bit of something going on, everybody understands and copes with each other so much better. So just assume everyone's got their own private battles, mental health conditions, struggles, wars, traumas, everything. And then everything just becomes kind of easy, because you're like, if someone does flip out, you're just like, dude's probably just having a bad mental health day, has had some stuff going on, probably some stuff I don't know about. Unless it becomes personal, I'm not going to treat it as personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know when it becomes personal. There's no real pretending it's not. Anything else to add on that one, or should we just wrap this bad boy up? Okay, wrapping it up. Love you both. Love you all. Hope you guys have enjoyed this episode and have gained some insights into some things that hopefully you guys can do. Hopefully you've gotten to know us better as well, because despite all of us being absolute debaucherous miscreants, we all the three of us and Val, we all have our own private journeys with mental health struggles. And hopefully the sharing of those with you has gained you insight into us and the people that we are. And hopefully we've bonded over that. And hopefully you gained some insights into yourselves as well, and your own personal journeys. But gentlemen, anything else you'd like to say before we check out?
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to That Old World Charm with those charming chaps, Adam, Danny, and Peter the Falcon. Thanks ever so much. Cheerio.